Hi everyone, welcome to MoneyEdXpat, the podcast where we talk about the financial side of different things in a life of an expat. So I'm Darema, I'm a financial advisor based in Shanghai and I help expats with financial planning. And today I'm very excited to have Chane Erasmus, an insurance broker from Abacare. And so I know a lot of people have a health insurance or don't have a health insurance, and they might have a lot of questions about even the basics of how the insurance works, how to use it. Is it a good insurance? Is it a bad insurance? And so today is a great opportunity for us to learn what an insurance is and what is a good insurance and whether it's a good fit for you if you're an expat in China. So welcome, Chane. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for the invite.
It's my pleasure. And so tell us, how did you end up in China? So what is your journey?
Well, I've been in China for about 10 years, so it's been a long journey. Mm-hmm. And of course, as the markets all changed, I've been in different cities doing different things. And now I'm in Shanghai now for the past 3 years.
Okay.
And yeah, in Shanghai, I became an insurance broker working at Abacare. Mm-hmm. So it's been an exciting journey in China for sure. It's never a dull moment, and we've also seen a lot of expats come in and leave. So it's an extremely dynamic country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can tell for sure because I've been in Shanghai for 14 years. Shanghai only this whole time, and of course, a big number of expats did leave in 2020. But then there are some numbers, some people coming in to Shanghai. Do you feel that it's about same as it was, from your own numbers?
It's a lot less. Expats recently, I feel that before the economy was very different.
Right.
It was the place to be. Everybody was very excited starting companies. Companies were doing really well. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, as you mentioned, 2020, a lot of people left for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
And I feel like now it's still less people than before, even before COVID. We do see some people coming back and starting to trust again and trying to build new companies here. But yeah, for sure, the market and the industry has changed. Now it's more focusing China going abroad rather than abroad coming to China.
Mm-hmm. And do you generally work just with companies or individuals too?
Both. So Abacare has been established since 1997 in Hong Kong originally.
Okay.
And we have an office in Shanghai, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Beijing, and Singapore. So we do operate in a lot of different countries, but also we don't only focus on individuals. We also provide insurance solutions for companies. Multinational companies as well as Chinese companies, because we were acquired by one of the biggest brokers in China, Datong. So we're able to also give solutions to Chinese companies.
Okay. Yeah. But you personally, do you work with individuals more or companies?
Both, because I'm the business developer. So
okay.
yeah, so we do work with individuals, but mostly we focus on bigger corporates. Also small startups. We work with any kind of company.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because in my experience, there are a lot of expats who try to open their either startup or just one-man band, opening one company, maybe another accountant, but that's it. So is that also included?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
The reason is because insurance is so flexible. It can basically really fit into any structure, because each individual needs at least some sort of protection if anything goes wrong, financial, going to the hospital, it's extremely expensive. So then you have your medical insurance, which at least if in case of emergency, your individual can be protected. Your life here in China is, you spend years saving money, working abroad, and if anything goes wrong, that savings just disappear in the hospital, right? Very, very quickly. So with medical insurance, it's not that expensive, and it can really reduce that financial stress. So anyone from, even if you don't work, if you're a housewife or if you're a husband that's not working and you're just living here, it's also suitable for you because it's private. And then for new startup and entrepreneurs, individuals, maybe their budget's smaller, maybe if they have a big budget. So we tailor the insurance based on the budget that you have. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So you said you started like around three years ago, right?
Yeah, we moved to Shanghai about that time. Yeah.
So when you started working as an insurance broker, what was one of the things that surprised you most about the insurance that you didn't know and then discovered? Like, wow.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that insurance covered that I had no idea when I just started in this industry. I first thought, okay, it just covers like emergency when you go to the hospital and you get surgeries and things. But the more I started to learn about the product, I realized that there's so much that it actually covers. And also a lot of companies provide insurance for their employees, which sometimes the employees maybe sometimes take for granted. Whereas other companies don't provide insurance, high-end medical insurance to their employees, and then their employees are responsible for getting their own. So a lot of times you find that people don't actually know if they have insurance or if they don't, and if they don't have, they think that a small amount of investment is expensive because they're not used to it. Yeah. So yeah, that was, I think, the thing that I was the most surprised about is how much insurance actually helps. Being an expat abroad, where it's so much risk, and our financial risk, as I mentioned, you spend years saving, and it's like this, and it disappears in the hospital. It's like if there's a really big accident. So that must be one thing that I say is quite interesting.
Yeah, I would say in my first couple of years, back in the day, long time ago, I worked in a company that didn't offer a health insurance. So it was either you get your own or just hope for the best. Right. And at the time, I thought it was normal because a lot of my friends would be also in a similar position. And so I would get a very affordable, it was just some 2,000, 3,000 RMB per year. It was just the very basic one from, I don't even remember which broker it was. But and then I had an injury on my, it was forearm or something. It wasn't a broken bone or anything like that. But then, I realized that, you need a good insurance, and especially for us expats, because my Chinese is okay to talk to delivery guys. Okay to talk to my landlord, maybe some, basic stuff. But when I go to the hospital, I don't even know how to say where it hurts because I don't know the words. And so I think it's really important when you're looking at insurance. It's like if you cannot speak Chinese, you either need to have someone who can translate, or you can either just show. But then sometimes it's very tricky, just to explain where it hurts, and then also being able to understand what's the treatment needed, and then what do you do? Like in a Chinese hospital, the systems are very challenging if you don't understand Chinese and if you don't have a Chinese ID. And as someone who's been to the Chinese hospitals, I know it's just it's something else.
Yeah, it's a very different experience, especially I think if you compare the hospitals back home. For us, I mean, I'm South African. We don't normally go to the hospital. That's not the first stop. We go to a clinic, and then you speak to a general practitioner, and then when you need to have a prescription to go to a hospital. So here, the experience is very different. You have to scan some codes at the hospital. That's not really the place where you go to first. So not only the language barrier, but also the experience is very different. But this is why I think insurance, even if it's the cheap one, normally they provide a special additional added value where there's actually a representative from the insurance company that can help you to translate, or at least get a second opinion if there's a critical illness or something diagnosis from the doctor and you maybe don't understand, you want a second opinion from an English speaking consultant through the insurance, you could do that.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. So with my injury back then, I just went, and then with my translator, I did my best, and then the doctor who saw me, it was a bone doctor or something, and then he was like, okay, does it hurt? I'm like, well, not really. Okay, bone not broken, go home. That was end of it.
Wow.
And
that's lucky, actually.
Yeah, I mean, at least my bone was okay. So over time it healed. But I was young, and I didn't want to go further or look for someone more appropriate at the time. But now, of course, I have a high-end insurance, so I can go to an international clinic like Sino or Jiahui or something like that. So it got a little better because at least the staff there speaks English, and so if anything I can ask, you know, for a translation or just explanation what it is. Yeah, but with the Chinese hospitals, it's a different level of, because first of all, there's the procedures in each hospital may be different. And and then with the language barrier, it's completely different.
Yeah, there's normally public hospitals. So if you don't have high-end medical insurance, you can generally just use the general department, which then you have the language barrier. You need to scan and see a doctor. Wait, maybe you have like 3-4 people, also other patients in the same consultation room as the doctor. Maybe one of them is like translating for you. So it's a very different kind of experience. Whereas, yes, each public hospital also has a VIP or international department that you can use, and it's generally quite affordable, but that's all paying out of pocket. It's not covered by your social insurance. But then if you have high-end medical, you could have the option to cover public hospitals only, which then allows you to use the VIP international department with your insurance. Or you could say you want an insurance who covers private hospitals, like the one that you have, with different levels. Either you just use general like private hospitals, or you use high-cost providers. Now, each insurer considers like high-cost providers different. So so if you want cover for those very luxurious hospitals, of course your budget has to increase a little bit, but then you can also tell the broker, you know, where your budget is, and we can try to find at least a good solution for you.
Okay, that's good to know, because I thought that if it's a state hospital, then you can only go there as a normal patient without an insurance, so it wouldn't be covered. But it is an option if you are buying an insurance, and then it only covers the international department in a specific hospital.
You could choose an insurance that covers public hospitals. Generally, you could use within the entire mainland China, which it's very different from social insurance, where it's only based on your district, and you need to apply. If you travel to Beijing, you need to actually inform the office that you're traveling. Otherwise, everything's out of pocket, and if there's an accident, it's, you know, you have to come back to your district anyway to make the claim. So that social insurance is a little bit more challenging. But like with high-end medical, you could go anywhere within mainland China and use any public hospital and access the international VIP apartment. So you could, if your budget is a constraint, you could downgrade from private hospital to public hospital.
And so I always thought the direct billing is the best, you know, it's and the only one you should go for, until I actually had an experience where, you know, I did the direct billing, but then the insurance actually didn't approve the claim, and then I had to pay anyway. So between that, so direct billing and claiming afterwards, is there a difference? Like, is the claiming one cheaper in any way, or no?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's an interesting point that you brought up, actually, because a lot of people think direct billing means the insurer automatically approves everything. But yes, direct billing is convenient because you don't have to pay first and then file the claim. So it's more for convenience. Yes, it's cheaper if you have an insurance which does not include direct billing, because that means the insurer directly bills the hospital directly bills the insurer, and you settle the claim before you leave the hospital, right? So it's very convenient for people, and they love it. If it's within your budget, direct billing is definitely the way to go. If your budget is a little bit less, you can opt to remove the direct billing option, and then the premium will reduce a little bit. But you also mentioned that a claim got rejected and you had to pay anyway. So this is not necessarily due to the benefits of direct billing or non-direct billing. This is normally due to, is the treatment covered by the insurance? Now there's two things. Either it's completely not listed in the table of benefits what is covered by the insurance, normally cosmetic things, or if it's an exclusion on your plan. So you mentioned something about your arm. So that could have happened if you had changed insurance because you maybe declared that you had this pre-existing condition. The next insurer would consider the pre-existing as an exclusion. They will not cover something that you had surgery or treatment for in the past. That happens again. So most likely it could have been either not covered by the insurance or an exclusion.
So let me ask you about this pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
So, I mean, most of us adults will have something, at least one thing. And then how soon before you get the insurance, it becomes a pre-existing? Is it like a year before, a few weeks ago, at the time of you purchased the insurance? And then if you are in that situation, you're going to the hospital and then it's a pre-existing condition, is there any way to kind of still get some kind of benefit to help with that condition, or is it completely out?
It's a good question, because it's true, the older we get, the more things we develop, and of course some people say, you know, it's not something I care about, you can exclude it in the plan, and then others say, look, I have this pre-existing, I really want it covered. So there's two things. First of all, there's a health declaration that you fill out during the application when you apply for an insurance. Now, what is pre-existing? It's anything previous to the day that you file your application. Previous. So from a second before filling in the application to 20 years, 30 years, or from birth, actually is pre-existing. So if anything exists which the insurer needs to be aware of, it needs to be declared in the health declaration. Most insurance would exclude pre-existing if it's going to cost them quite a lot of money to maintain this condition. So how can you cover the pre-existing? Well, you can first of all communicate with the broker and say, I would like to cover my pre-existing. Then, of course, we'd need to understand what kind of pre-existing it is, and would it be realistic. So if it's a really more serious condition, which is normally more related to cardiac or diabetic or really high BMI, or something that can cost quite a lot of money in the future, it's very difficult to negotiate those things with the insurers, but we try. Because there are some insurance plans that exist that you could have your pre-existing covered under a cap.
All right.
Yeah, a cap means maybe the insurer says we will give 1,000 kwai or 5,000 kwai or 7,500 kwai per year to cover your pre-existing. And then if you stay with them for 1 year, normally they say, okay, we can now cover a little bit more, maybe 50% more. So the first year, 7,500 can be covered. The next year, if you stay with them, it kind of proves your loyalty. So then they say, okay, we increase it to 10,000 cover per pre-existing conditions. And then after 4 years, they say, okay, you've been a loyal customer, now we cover all of your pre-existing. If it's approved. So there are some plans which can cover pre-existing, but it needs to be declared and approved by the insurer. So there are some plans.
So what if you had a pre-existing condition but didn't know about it, and then it's something that's long going, like diabetes, for example, but you didn't know at the time that you were filling out the declaration?
Yeah, that's a good question. So normally insurers would look at the medical report. So 3 things that the insurer normally asks for when they pay the claim, and also what the hospitals provide to the insurance, is the itemized bill. This is like all of the medicine, all of the prescriptions. If you have like any like anything that they have done, any treatment, that would be required by the insurance. Then also the fapiao, the receipt, and the medical report. Now your question is, what if you didn't know? Look, we're human. We don't necessarily know if we have a condition or not. So if you sign the policy today and in 3, 4, 5 months you go to the hospital and that's the first realization that you have this condition, generally it would be covered by the insurance because it's a newly diagnosed condition. Because in the medical reports, normally doctors would state new condition found. However, some people try to apply for an insurance and say, I don't have any pre-existing, knowing that they have this condition, but they want to maybe kind of hide it. But somehow the insurance, they find out through the medical report, because you can kind of track the history, but not in a sense of the insurance go through your history or anything. It's just, it shows in the medical report how long you have had this condition, or the conversation between the doctor and the client. Sometimes the clients would say, oh, I've had this for 6 years.
And the doctor will snitch you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not snitch.
I'm joking.
Not snitch, but I mean, you do declare your condition honestly with the doctor, because you actually want to find a solution, right? So these things do happen. And then I won't say that the insurance would immediately decline the claim or approve the claim, but they take it case by case, and they would most likely send a questionnaire to the insured person who visited the hospital and realized maybe for the first time there's a condition, or try to hide it. They would send a questionnaire to say, look, did you had the declaration, you'd said you didn't have a pre-existing condition, but in the medical report it says that you've been aware of it, so we just wanted to clarify.
Right.
So if in this case it happens, you could rule in a new exclusion, because sometimes you forget as well. So they take it case by case.
Okay.
They try to be as fair as possible, because we're humans, we do make error, but we also need to, when we do fill in that health declaration, be as honest as possible, because it could happen if you really hide a really serious condition and the insurance find out, they could cancel your plan without refunding, because it's a clear, it's kind of fraudulent, because you pay maybe a small amount for the insurance, but your surgery is going to be 5-6 times that amount. So it's
All right. And just hypothetically, if someone say was living in, I don't know, Dalian, and they were going to a doctor and had a health insurance there, and then they moved to Shanghai, and so if they hide a condition that they had there and then apply for, is there like a database where one insurance broker could access to see any kind of notes from someone in another city or another province here in China? Is there a one universal place for that? No.
No, because for sure insurance brokers, no, we don't have any access, because we are just working with individuals and between the insurance companies. Brokers, no. As for insurance companies, some insurance companies, they have the same service company. So AXA, MSH, and Allianz, they have the same service company. So if you apply to AXA and you have a health declaration, you need to declare with your name. And if you apply at MSH, if you apply at these three, most likely you're going to get the same answer. So they share the same database. And other insurers, yes, some do, but they're not allowed to disclose to each other, because at the end of the day, if you go to the hospital, this is client privacy. Hospitals are not, and hospitals and insurance, they also have a data protection agreement that they have, which they're not allowed to share. So during the application, actually, the insurer would ask you if you are willing to provide medical reports, and if you don't have access to the medical reports, but maybe you remember your doctor's name and you need some help to actually just retrieve your declared, or you say, look, honestly, I don't know, I don't care, just take my doctor's details and figure it out. They can do that. Then they will call your doctor and say, look, this person wants to have a health insurance, they need a little bit of help. Can you tell us the just overall health state? Is this person suitable to apply to insurance?
Okay.
Or is there something we need to be aware of? And the doctor would normally then disclose what the client approved, and they will not disclose anything else. So so this is due to privacy, it's not allowed. So there's no cloud with all of the information. It's not allowed.
Okay. Well, who knows? Maybe it's like with with the police, where they have all the data with some for some people, and then like a blacklist or a gray list of people who abused like insurance or something like that. And if you were on the list in one province, then you're likely not get an insurance in another province too.
Insurance have the blacklist for companies and individuals who abuse. So if they apply to the same insurer, then they will be a decline. They cannot then, so maybe some people say, oh, I have this upcoming surgery, I'm not going to say anything, and then use my very cheap insurance to pay for this very expensive insurance. Sometimes, yes, insurance can blacklist, but they're the only ones that's going to blacklist it. They're not going to go to a different insurance and say, hey, by the way, that guy, don't take
don't
this
work with
guy.
them,
Don't work with they're not, because they're not allowed to. It's client privacy, it's private information, it's health, it's extremely sensitive information, which companies are not allowed to share. So so they have their own rejection list. They might ask in the application, have you ever been rejected for an application? And the client has to disclose yes or no. I mean, you file an application on your own truthful way. So, I mean, the choice is yours, but you need to either bear the consequences if they find out in a different way, or somehow it's, but it's not disclosed in general. So there's also hospitals that have been blacklisted by insurance. So if you have an insurance, not all of the hospitals are covered, because some are blacklisted, because some abused the insurance in the past, charging the people with insurance more. So then when the insurance found out that if individuals don't use insurance, it's cheaper, but if they use insurance, it's more expensive. So the insurance blacklists the hospital, but you don't know which ones. So if you apply to the plan, then you can see which ones have been blacklisted, but it's just very specific to the insurer.
So if I had an insurance and I went to the hospital, blacklisted hospital, I did something there, and then I used the claim from that hospital, I might not get that money back from my insurance?
Correct, but the insurance is quite transparent with that. They say, look, this is our hospital network, and you can go to these hospitals, and it's very transparent. Those ones, they advertise and say, go to these. Go to these ones, because we can do direct billing, we can make your life very easy, we can bring a representative if you need. So if you really don't know, we can send somebody to help you with all of it, or navigate, or you can call us. So they're trying to make your experience very good at their hospital networks. They can even make an appointment for you. So they're really trying to bring your experience to life and make you feel at home, right? Even if it's not a fun place to go to. But for the blacklist, they don't advertise. They will not mention it, but it is in the form. So you need to read your table of benefits when you apply. They do send it, and they're transparent, say, look, scan this one for the blacklist. But they're not. They'll make you aware of it. Brokers also make you aware of it and say, avoid these. You can't go to those because it's not gonna.
Okay. I didn't know that. Good to know. Okay. So let's talk the basics, right? So what is, and I genuinely don't know this, inpatient? Actually, I was calling it inpatient for a long time. So inpatient and outpatient. Like, what's the difference, and is it really necessary to have one versus the other?
That's a good question. So inpatient basically means you stay in the hospital as a patient.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So that is the core of insurance. Because if the most, accidental thing happened to you and you need to be hospitalized and you stay in the hospital, that's the most expensive part. A room in a hospital costs way more than a 5-star hotel, way more. And that's only the room. That's not even the treatment in it. So you cannot have insurance without the inpatient part. And that's the cheapest, the cheapest part. So if you have an insurance plan that only covers inpatient from the insurance, it's quite cheap. You could get, like you mentioned last time, you paid 2,000 kwai. You could get an inpatient plan for, 2,000, 5,000, depending on your age. And it covers the most emergency situations for you to stay in the hospital. Maybe get some outpatient surgery as well, where you just go to the hospital, get a small surgery, and then 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, you leave the hospital. Hopefully with a friend or somebody, because you get anesthetics. So this is inpatient. Outpatient is where you can walk out of the hospital as a patient on the same day. So this is basically how the naming of that works. And that is an additional benefit. That's not the core of insurance. So this is outpatient is general practitioner consultations, specialist consultations, and prescription medicine. So this includes anything from like therapeutic, dermatology, chiropractic, TCM, these kind of things. Also just ENT consultations. Maybe you've got a fever, you go to speak to a general practitioner. This is an additional benefit which you can choose to have cover or not in your insurance plan. And generally, it's more expensive than only an inpatient plan. It could double your premium, most likely, or triple. Because the annual limits for outpatient treatment could vary between 6,000 to maybe 60,000 or 100,000 per year. Not saying that you're paying 100,000 per year for your outpatient benefit, but just to see a specialist in general costs around 800 to 2,500 kwai just for 1 hour consultation, generally, depending on the treatment. So, of course, it's an additional benefit. If you can afford it, then you could get that benefit because you could do a lot more different outpatient treatments. And the value that you pay for your insurance is much lower than if you would pay out of pocket. Much lower, yeah. So it's like half price or something, which you would actually pay for just paying out of pocket.
So what about dentistry? Is it also, because I have it, but in the past I would have an insurance policy that didn't include it. And so even with the same company, 1 year I had it and 1 year I didn't.
Yeah.
So is that counted as outpatient?
That's a separate benefit.
Oh.
Yeah, so you get inpatient is the core, outpatient is the consultations, which is an additional benefit. Another additional benefit would be dental, well-being, and vision.
Right, okay. Yeah, so I also had 1 year I had it, but then I lost it for some reason the following year.
Yeah. Also checkups.
Interesting. Okay.
Checkups, yeah. Annual checkups and vaccinations. It's also an additional benefit. So you could tailor your own plan. So you take insurance for inpatient as a core, and then you could say, oh, I don't want outpatient, but I do want annual checkup, or I want annual outpatient, but I don't need dental, wellness. I don't need the other ones. Then you can tailor your plan.
Okay. So, but then if someone, like 30 plus. Expat living in China, they would need some sort of outpatient, right? At least some consultations with doctors, like GP. I'm not sure about wellness, but I think dental for sure, and for eyes, maybe yes, maybe no, depending on the person. So would you say that for an average person, inpatient for sure and outpatient, to some extent?
It really depends on budget. Of course, we're all, kind of expected to do your annual checkup, just because it's really preventative. If you have something, you catch it early. So I would say yes, have your annual checkups and have at least insurance cover it. Because if it's discovered on your insurance plan, at least it's covered if you need treatment.
Right.
And also for dental, it's much cheaper to pay for a dental through insurance than to pay it out of pocket and pay the full price at a dentist.
Yeah.
So I would say if you have the budget, just take it in your insurance plan. Also maternity insurance, for example, you could have your maternity covered by the insurance.
The whole thing, the birth and everything.
The whole thing. And the value would cover normally the pregnancy duration for the very similar price. If not, you get a lot more benefits for what you actually pay for.
Interesting.
So insurance actually does help quite a lot. Yes, the more benefits you add to your insurance plan, of course, the more expensive it becomes. But if you can afford it, just take it. And then if, of course, we're all, maybe sometimes going through a little bit challenging times financially, then you can also reduce the benefits and say, look, I can't afford this anymore. Let's go of this benefit or that benefit to reduce the premium down to whatever makes sense to you. Now, downgrading an insurance from having a lot of benefits to less benefits is easy. But if you have only inpatient plan and you want to add dental or add another thing, it's more challenging because now the insurer is going to be like, well, you never needed dental, so why do you need it now? So because insurance is not a thing that you get for the convenience of using the benefit all of a sudden because we're getting older. It is to have something when something goes really wrong that you'll be ready.
Yeah. So about maternity,
Yeah.
A few of my friends actually just went to the hospital, you know, they had the baby and then they bought this package from the hospital directly. And the price would be, I don't know, somewhere 20,000, somewhere it's 30,000, maybe more if they want to like really just a high-end experience, like a separate room. It's only them in the room. And so about those numbers, and then of course if you go to a state hospital, it's way cheaper than that. Like we're talking 10,000, maybe 20,000 for the whole thing, for the birth, right? So what I remember is that so first you have a certain package for the pregnancy period, right? Seeing the doctor, and then birth itself is a separate package. So all in all, it can come to up to 100K or even more.
Easy.
If there are any complications, there are also extra.
Lots.
So with the maternity insurance, it doesn't matter whatever happens, but how soon do you need to buy it? Like as soon as you got pregnant, then you get insurance, or how does that work?
Good question. Yeah. Generally, if you're already pregnant, it's very difficult to get insurance. If you don't have insurance and you are pregnant, most likely on a general plan without maternity, insurers say, we can't cover you. You need to first deliver, and then we can take you in as a client.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And but some insurers say, okay, fine, we can try to insure you, but because pregnant women, their hormones are everywhere, and it's very difficult to insure a person. Even if they decide, I want some maternity insurance now, maternity is not fully covered, but up to a certain amount is covered. Okay. But you need a lot of medical reports, a lot. I've had some people who said, okay, fine, I don't want insurance, I just want the complication insurance. And they have a very small window within their maternity to get that complications insurance, which is cheap. It's complications insurance is not that expensive, but it's difficult to get because your hormones are everywhere. So how soon in advance would you have to get it? I would say, in general, insurers are asking people 6 months before you test pregnant.
Okay.
So if you're thinking, I think next year let's make a baby, start shopping for insurance, because the good thing about having maternity insurance is because you don't know the quality of the hospital where you will get your maternity treatment. Maybe the doctors are not exactly what you expected. You can change hospital with maternity insurance. It covers the entire area of cover. So let's say you choose mainland China as an option of maternity where you want to deliver. Entire mainland China is covered. So you can go to any private hospital or any public hospital to deliver. Maybe you find maybe you go to a hospital that's near your home and you realize, actually my friend delivered at that hospital and it's much better there. You can go there. Whereas if you buy insurance, and also with maternity insurance, of course, when you now waited 6 months and you test pregnant, then your prenatal is covered, your delivery is covered, your postnatal is covered, and if you have a complication, which unfortunately is quite common, and it can cost really a lot. Also premature birth, when a child goes to the NICU, it could cost like 7,000 a night.
Yeah.
So it's extremely expensive, and that's covered by the insurance. So you spend 2 years insurance on maternity, and it's expensive, could range 30,000 to 50,000 a year. And of course you need to get it 2 years, but your entire process is covered. Whereas if you go to hospital and you buy the hospital package, fine, you could do that, but hospitals don't cover complications, which is normally the most expensive thing. If a child is born with a congenital condition, it's 250,000, which could be out of pocket. If within the first year of this child's life it's very difficult, it's not covered. So yes, vaccinations and all of these things normally go into the package that the hospital offers, and you are right, you can build your own plan in the hospital, but then you're reliable, you need to use that hospital. If you want to change, then you can't, because you
can't
paid
move
to that one.
Yeah, you can't change, you're just stuck with that hospital.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. If you're planning to have kids in the next year or two or more, start looking at your options, because it does look like, yeah, of course, if someone is lucky, right? So the pregnancy went well, the birth went well, and then so they're out of the hospital without any complications. That's great, happy days. But anything can happen, anything during the pregnancy or after. And also there is a support post delivery, right? So that's that sounds like a good deal to me. So definitely something to look into, because in Shanghai, first of all, for a lot of expats, again, because of the language barrier, and then also, of course, you want to have a good service for yourself, right? So you're not necessarily going to a state hospital where you're staying with 5 other women in the same room. Of course, you want to have a more privacy and maybe a little more care, because in my experience in the Chinese hospital, it's just there's not a lot of compassion or support, or emotional support when you're going through different things, not just pregnancy or anything else, right? So it's I think it's just having that just a better experience, so that you have at least some kind of privacy if something happened.
Yeah, you get some private hospitals with really competitive prices, really competitive. Even if you compare to public hospitals, some private hospitals are very, very close, and the facilities look very different. Some people prefer to go to public hospitals, and some cities actually don't have a lot of private medical hospitals. So then they can only use public hospitals, which is what they have access to, and there are solutions for that. But of course, I think the main thing is the complications. And also, when you deliver, what happens to your child? You need to get insurance for your child. So at least if you have insurance, your child has insurance for a certain period, which a lot of people don't think about, because they say, I'm just going to deliver and then get insurance for my child. But what they don't know is most insurance actually have a waiting period. So you can't enroll your child in insurance until 30 days of life.
So the first month, no insurance.
Yeah, some insurers, very few, would insure the child from day one. And it's difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. +1 to maternity insurance.
Yeah.
All right. So let me touch a bit on basics of an insurance. So I hear words like deductible, copay, premium, access, and then we just touched on waiting period. So can you just explain what these are, or maybe add a few more things that I may have missed?
Yeah, sure. So deductible, this is, you also mentioned the word access. So the deductible and access, it's the same.
Okay.
Which basically each insurance has the option to have a deductible instilled into one of the benefits. So let me give you an example, and then I'll move to the next word. Okay. Let's say, for example, you choose an inpatient plan only. You're a 45-year-old person. Your premium for inpatient plan only is 7,000 kwai per year. But maybe that's above your budget. You would like to have a lower premium and say, I'm okay to pay a 10,000 kwai deductible. So what does that mean? It means if you have an inpatient plan, your premium is 7,000 per year, and you have a 10,000 deductible or access on your inpatient. That means even though that means you can reduce your 7,000 annual premium down to maybe 5,000 because you have a deductible.
Okay.
So
it's like a debit balance?
Right. So the deductible help you to reduce the premium, but if anything happens within that year, you have to first pay the deductible of the inpatient when you are hospitalized before the insurance covers the annual limit of the inpatient. So for example, let's say you have your inpatient plan, no deductible, but you pay 7,000. If anything happens, the insurance pay from the first RMB, they pay everything.
Right.
But if you have a 10,000 kwai deductible, yes, you pay cheaper for the yearly premium, but if anything happens, you first have to pay 10,000 to the hospital, and then the insurance will pay the rest.
Okay.
So the deductible help you to control the cost a little bit.
Okay, but then you hope that nothing serious happens, so you need to use that deductible.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So long term, of course, the premium that you save, normally depending on the deductible, you could go 4 years. So let's say, for example, you put a deductible for 10,000, and within 4 years you save 10,000, and nothing happened. Of course, then it's a win.
Right.
But if anything does happen, then you have to pay that 10,000, which means anyway you would have paid the same price. But if 10 years go by and nothing happened, then of course you've saved quite a bit of money. So yeah, that's basically what a deductible means.
Okay.
Yeah. So very long term, if you're on insurance. So I know some people who's been on their insurance for 25, 30 years. So, and they have deductibles and nothing has happened and they're okay.
Good for them.
Yeah. So I do suggest, if you have a deductible in your insurance plan, keep that amount of money in your savings, because once something really does happen, that is the amount that you need to pay first.
Okay.
If you cannot pay, the bill would become quite challenging, because you need to pay that before the insurance pays the rest.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's deductible. And the other word that you used was
Copay.
copay. So co means together. You collaborate on the payment. So a lot of people have copay maybe on their outpatient, so consultation, or they have copay on outpatient or dentistry, or outpatient if you use high cost providers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So maybe you don't have copay if you use private in general, just like private hospitals, but if you use very luxury, you have maybe a copay there. So copay can happen on different benefits of the insurance plan. So what it means is, let's say, for example, you have a 20% copay. That means you pay 20% of the bill and the insurer pays 80% of the bill.
But then, is that something you decide in advance, or is it just included in the...
Yeah, when you form the policy, you could also, like the deductible, right? The deductible helps you to control the premium, to pay a little bit less. Some insurers say, look, we can cover 60,000 per year for your outpatient consultation, or we could pay 60,000 with a 20% copay, meaning when you go to the hospital for dentist consultation or outpatient and you have the copay on those benefits, and the payment is 1,000 kwai, which you need to pay, then of course you as the individual will pay 20%, so 200 RMB to the hospital, and the insurance will pay 800.
Okay.
So this also helps to reduce the premium of the plan. Yeah. Some insurers allow copay and some insurers don't. Yeah, so you need to check. If you want to save some cost, you can add a copay, because of course then the insurer is not going to be liable for your entire consultation fee. You also bear some consultation fees throughout the year. So
yeah,
it helps to reduce the premium a little bit. Yeah. If you're okay with that, it's good. Some people don't like to have copay because they just want to put their card, have direct billing, and they don't want to pay anything, which is completely fine. The annual premium might be a little bit higher then, but if they're okay with it, then no problem. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned waiting period earlier. So is it always 30 days, or is it sometimes longer?
Depends on the benefit. Generally, insurance for dental would have a 180 days waiting period, which is like 6 months waiting period before you can start to use the dental benefit. Because it's quite cheap to add the benefit, and the amount that they gave you is almost double or triple sometimes. So it's, you need to wait to use your dental. It's only within the first policy year though. If you renew and you're in your second policy year, you can continue to use it from day one of the second renewal. Then things like maternity also has, depending on the plan, you could go either 60 days waiting period or 180 days waiting period. Or if you have a little bit more sophisticated maternity, which you also need some infertility treatment, it could be a year waiting period or 2 years waiting period. So it really depends on the kind of treatment that you have. The waiting periods might be extended.
So a quick question, is there like a critical illness?
Yeah.
And then, so with that, is it also there, is there like a specific waiting period? Because, it can happen anytime, right?
Yeah, it can happen anytime. That's a good question. Yeah, that's a very good question. So critical illness is generally covered under inpatient. The follow-up and maintenance, sometimes in some insurance plans are covered under the outpatient benefit, so you need to check. Some insurance, not a lot, would have a waiting period for critical illness. If you develop critical illness within the first 30 days, you first have to pay that. It's not covered by the insurance.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, it's too soon sometimes. So some insurers would have a waiting period. Psychiatric inpatient often also has 180 days. That's not critical illness. That is, but yeah, so more serious illnesses, they have quite a waiting period, whereas some plans cover you from day one for anything. So it depends on the insurance plan that you have. So most of them don't have waiting period for this.
Right.
Yeah, but cancer is generally a fully covered benefit in all insurance, because it's thing that's most I mean, this is why people get insurance, is for those really serious and really expensive things.
Yeah, and then also because cancer is different, right? So some of the types of cancers can be treated if caught on early on, but then there are other types of cancers it's incurable, and so but then either way, if you have an insurance, it can either help you with the treatment and recovery, hopefully, and or at least, if it's a more serious case, then you would still get the treatment and the help you need as it goes, because in some cases it just gets really bad really quick.
Yeah, and you need to actually also check. I had a client who recently got diagnosed with cancer, and the treatment is around 14,000 for chemotherapy plus. It depends on the kind of insurance. It depends on the type of hospital that you get treatment for, and you need like 6 or depending on the type of cancer, as you mentioned. However, if you know that in your family a specific kind of cancer is quite prominent in your family, I do suggest to get insurance that covers that very specific type. So for example, kidney dialysis is something a little bit more sophisticated in insurance, and maybe a basic plan might not cover kidney dialysis.
Even if it was suggested by the doctor? So it's
I mean, if you know that in the future it might be because maybe it's genetic, or it's something that you might think, due to not drinking a lot of water or your lifestyle or something, kidney might be something that you need in the future to have covered. Communicate with the insurance or with the broker and say, look, we don't know what's going to happen, right? But you need to be very clear, is cancer covered? Is kidney dialysis covered? Are all of these things that you have in your mind, do they have cover? Yeah. Some plans cover them, some don't. And some covers if you have the outpatient. So for example, some insurance, they say we cover the treatment of cancer under chemotherapy, but certain treatments for cancer is covered under outpatient. So if you have insurance without outpatient benefit, some of those treatments, which are super expensive, will not be covered by the insurance. Yeah. So you need to double check that.
Yeah, so don't get cancer.
Yeah.
So with in your experience, generally, did you ever have an experience where someone got an insurance and then they went through maybe like that client of yours, and then they realized, oh my God, thank God I got this insurance, because without it, things would be very, very different. Can you share anything like that?
Yeah, plenty. Plenty. Well, I mean, to be honest, people who have insurance, if nothing goes wrong, people complain and say, oh, I pay too much for this insurance. Because you don't feel the effects, and it's a good thing. If you have insurance and nothing goes wrong, that's great. Then yes, you pay this amount and nothing goes wrong. That's good. You're a healthy human and there's no problem and it's great. Keep going. you know, when it really gets bad, I have plenty of clients, and I'm sure that people working in the industry, they understand if things go bad, it can go really bad. You know, there's been people who's had to move out of China to receive treatment in Singapore, trying to just get enough blood to survive. And with having insurance, that process is a lot easier, because when you're in that situation, you don't have the time or the effort or the energy to figure out where you can get blood, or where you can get the treatment, where is the right place. So then you basically communicate with your broker or the insurance company to say, look, I need to move to another country to get treatment there. And then through the processes, the insurance company arranges the air ambulance to move you, when you are stable, to the next country where you can receive better treatment. And it's a game of survival, to be honest. And yeah, so we have helped a lot of people go through extremely difficult times. And not just that, but also general people, you know, just working in Shanghai, they have claims which could change their life completely if they didn't have insurance. They, you know, something happens, they have an extremely expensive surgery and many follow-ups, which, like I mentioned earlier, like your life saving can disappear in front of you. And to be honest, we've seen claims that can feed up to many years of savings. We've seen huge claims, over 1 million RMB as well. Right. So yeah, we've seen various different scales. Even in the case of death, and this is the saddest part when it comes to this kind of industries, in the most, you know, when somebody dies, insurers, they repatriate your body back to your home country so that the funeral can happen. So if the person didn't have insurance with the benefits of repatriation, who takes care of those costs?
The family.
The family. So then you see people selling their homes to bring this body back home, because it's extremely expensive to bring the body back home. It's hundreds of thousands of kwai. Which not everybody has, so you need to either sell a home or take out a loan, which means your family's lifestyle is going to change. So
or do fundraising and go
fundraising,
WeChat groups.
We see it
a lot.
We see it too much. We see it too much. It's because people don't know what benefits they need when they get insurance. Repatriation. What happens when you die here? If this is not, you know, your family's maybe not here. They want your body back home because they need a funeral. These kind of things. They need closure. And then also, if you're the breadwinner of your family and your family don't have money, how do they go back? You know? And then life insurance is a very different thing, but they pay, the sum pays out. At least your family has then money to, you know, still pay for the house, still pay for schooling for the kids. So that's a different type of insurance. But these situations, I mean, everybody talks about, you know, small surgery and things which costs a lot. But if it's a real, it could be life-changing. So we've had multiple people with different needs also. It's any. So a lot of happy people with insurance, not saying that it's, you know, based on the result of their health, but they're happy that they had insurance. So many situations.
Well, personally, you know, thankfully, I didn't have to use my insurance for anything serious, but I do use it for my dental, and then, you know, every now and then, you know, something comes up. I do go to the doctor like maybe a few times a year, you know, like bad cough or, you know, something on my skin or something with my leg or something like that. So it's, I can definitely say it's just that even the peace of mind that I know that I have the insurance, and then if anything happens, I just go to the hospital, as opposed to if I didn't have the insurance and I'm just, you know, concerned and anxious all the time. So how much is this gonna cost if I'm going to the hospital, and they're telling me, okay, you need to do this, buy this, buy this, and then okay, so what is that bill gonna look like at the end? So of course, having insurance is just the layer of protection just in case, because you never know.
Well, not just, yes, it's for sure that, but let me ask you this, because you say you don't go to the hospitals very often, mostly for dental, right? So if in an emergency situation, would you know which hospital to go to?
I guess, yeah, the one that I go to, Sino.
Right.
So I'll just, but I don't have their phone number.
Yeah.
And yeah, I only know one branch, the one I go to near Jing'an Temple. That's it, right?
Right.
And then of course I have the WeChat contact of the broker,
Right.
which sometimes I message to. But yeah, if there was an emergency, yeah, I wouldn't know what to do.
Right. So this is another benefit of having insurance is if in case you're traveling, I'm sure you travel through China or other countries, if anything happens and you're traveling, you're very far from your regular hospital, right? So to call the insurance, they have a hotline and you tell them where you are and they give you the nearest hospital. So you can receive treatment very quickly. And they can also schedule the appointment for you to see somebody. If in case it's, because hospitals, not all hospitals are open all the time, 24 hours. Not all of them are open for this. No, so they have their work hours. And then some hospitals, they close. They don't have an emergency hospital, so you can't just go.
Okay. That is brand new information, because I thought they would. I mean, people get sick all the time, even in the middle of the night. So then when you go, where do you go then?
You would arrive most likely at most hospitals and realize that they don't have an emergency section 24 hours. Because hospitals need special licenses for emergencies, and emergency doctors also work on shift. So sometimes you would arrive and you need special treatment, but the doctor who is able to treat you is not there. So then when you arrive at the 24-hour emergency section, you have people to first control the situation, and then they call the specialist for that very specific thing, and then the doctor comes in. So yeah, having an insurance definitely helps because they have a hotline which is available very quickly, and they can tell you which hospital to go to.
Okay, yeah, that's a good reminder for me to just input the number, save the number on my phone.
Absolutely.
Just so I know where to call. Okay, that's a good call.
Yeah, and also if you don't know the number of the ambulance, that's also something that you need to probably know.
I actually don't.
Yeah.
Is it 102?
Close, but it's 120 for the ambulance.
120. Okay. Yeah. There you go. Write it down.
Yeah. Remember the number of the ambulance.
All right. So just to close this up, this was a great conversation. Yeah. So if someone was an expat, newbie in Shanghai, or just really not familiar with any of this insurance business, what would you say to them to look into, what to consider, and moving forward, what should they do?
That's a very good question. I would say, first of all, you need to really speak to a broker directly to understand what options are available in China, and also think long term. Yeah. A lot of people just come here and say, look, I'm just going to be here for 3 months or 1 year, and then I'm going to leave to a different country. But they don't know what's going to happen in the year that they're here. Maybe they develop a pre-existing or a condition that needs long-term treatment, and then they choose an insurance which is specific to China. So if they leave, that means they can't move abroad and continue on the plan because the insurance would stop. Once they leave, then some packages they don't cover anymore because they don't operate in those countries. So when you choose a plan, choose with the long term in mind, because a lot of us, we arrive, I don't know if it happened with you as well, you're saying, I'm just going to live in China for 1 year, and then
that was exactly the case. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So shop with the long term in mind. And as we all get older, you want your conditions to be covered long term, and the more loyal you are to the insurance, it's good, because then they cover your conditions that you develop through your time with them. And if you change, the next insurance might not cover your pre-existing.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Which means everything of your conditions would have to be out of pocket, and then life gets really expensive. Some people, especially in the age of 60 to 80, are almost uninsurable.
Yeah, so that was also one of the questions I was thinking, is that, so if someone, 60 plus, and then they're not living in their home country, or in their home country it's a bit, too expensive or unaffordable. So what do people do then? So they just go to local hospitals, pay out of the pocket, that's it?
If they can't have high-end medical, then yes. They pay out of pocket mostly. But then, of course, because they go more regularly, life becomes really expensive. And going to a local, yes, you have your social insurance, which covers, but you first have to pay, and then claiming is really a long process as well. And you're restricted to local treatment, local medicines. So a lot of people actually in this time, they just leave because it's not sustainable.
Right.
This is up to a person, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, this was great. Thank you so much. So much useful information.
Sure.
So for me as a financial advisor, health insurance is a non-negotiable. In my practice, I do sometimes speak to people who either don't have a health insurance or have something, but they're not sure how does it even work or where would they go, or they have a social insurance and they think that everything is, easy peasy, but actually social insurance, the medical benefit within the social insurance is also comes with nuances, so which you need to know how it works before you can go to a hospital and use it. So, and I do recommend checking your options, finding an insurance that works for you, and also learning what to do, where to go, where to call if something happens, because if you broke your leg already, or if you were hit by a bus or something like that, you will not have time to kind of look for answers or ask in a WeChat group what to do in this situation. So you better be prepared. And so this was a really great reminder that these are the things that we need to prepare in advance, because you never know. It's better to have a plan and not use it than not have a plan and then panic there. And also in some situations you're not even conscious, so who is doing all this? So make sure that you have a plan, you have your insurance card and the phone number is saved and your emergency contacts are updated with your insurance company and the hospitals, etc. So people know what to do if that happens. And so if you want to have a further conversation with Chane, please feel free to check my description under this post. I will make sure to include all the details with Chane if you want to have a conversation. By the way, are the consultations free, or is there a fee to have a chat with you?
Yeah, good question. Thank you for asking. So because I'm a broker, brokers in China are not allowed to accept any payment, and consultations are free, and the service that we provide is all free. We're just trying to help you find a solution, and then we connect you with the insurer, and you make the payment directly with the insurer. So,
and then the insurer is the one covering the fee. Okay.
Yeah, so we get appointed as your broker, but we don't accept payment from the clients at all.
Okay. Yeah. Same as us. Yeah. So I, as a financial advisor, I also don't take any payments from the clients. It goes straight to the institution that accepts the business. Okay, that's good to know. So you know where to find Chane, where to have a conversation. If you want to have a quote, see if it's, maybe it's better than what you have, maybe it is the same, so at least you know what are options on the table, and so you find the best option for your situation. So this is MoneyEdXpat. Thanks for watching, and until next time.
Bye.